Okay, so we'll try to add an array to this thing. Okay, so I got rid of my reading of the pot here, right? Because my point is not to give it away here. Okay, so I'm just going to insert an array into this code, and so what I'll do in it is I'll fill up an array with all my numbers, and then we'll read the numbers in the array, and we'll just display them, if that makes sense. Okay, so that will show you how to use an array. Okay, we got quite a bit of time, so we should be good to go. Okay, so what I'm thinking of doing is first creating an array. We'll fill it up with numbers 0 to 9, and then what we'll do is in the loop we'll just display the numbers from the array. Okay, one after the other, just to show you how to work with arrays. So seriously, I did not review anything, so this is like you'd be working. Okay, so I'm going straight into my reference, right? Array in C Arduino, and this is literally how I would do it. Okay, so because I don't remember, okay, I don't do enough of it. Okay, so here is an example. Okay, so here's an example here. So you can create an array. So remember what I said in class, an array is a logical structure. So you can go 1D, so one dimension, so picture that as a line. You could go 2D, right? So here, this guy here is just declaring an array, all of those 4 or 1D. Is he showing examples of 2D? Not in this case. Okay, so we just need this kind here, so we'll be fine. So you declare an array by using the square brackets. Right? So we could use this example here. Okay, so I'll just copy it. Okay, so this is a good page here, actually. Okay, so you can definitely read that over. So we're going to declare the array before the code, so it'll be for the compiler. Right? Now, I'm going to change those names here. So how many numbers do we need? How many numbers? To go from 0 to 9, how many numbers is that? It's not 9, it's 10, right? Because 0 is a number, right? So the size of our array will be 10. Well, I wrote 19, and we'll call it array, right? So if I wanted to declare each element in sequence, this is how I would go. So just comma, and then 1, comma, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there you go. So that's these are the elements populating the array, if that makes sense. Right? So here it's an array of size 10. Okay? As the example says here, you don't even need to give a size to it, right? You could leave it empty and leave the compiler to deal with the size of it, if that makes sense. Any comments, guys? Question on this? That might be helpful. So an array, it's just a logical structure, okay, that the compiler is using to basically define areas in the memory, right? And then it's going to go and access that data. Okay, so that's why arrays are really useful. Well, so this should work here. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. because my goal is just to demonstrate it. Okay, so here the array is defined. So now we just need to display it. Well, so let's actually use a for loop in the middle of this. Okay, so again, I don't remember by heart, I don't do enough. Okay, so Arduino, so I'm going to go in a reference, get to remember, right, the structure. So I'll just bring it in my code, right? Okay, so initialization. So what does that mean? So what do I do in initialization? So there's going to be a variable that I'm going to check as I'm increasing it or decreasing it, right? So let's define an integer amount of times, right? And we're going to declare it as being 0. And when amount will be equal, right? So that's to evaluate, right? To 10, we'll get out of the loop. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to increase amount. Okay. So notice it's kind of small on the board, but the plus. Okay. This is the important business. Okay. So I'm not sure if you see. Okay. So this is how you increase a variable by 1, okay? So you just say plus. Now, if your for loop, if you were decreasing every loop, you could say minus, right? Okay, so it's standard stuff. And then what am I doing every time? What am I doing every time? So what I'll do is I'll say val, right? Because in my code here, val is the value that I was reading from the pot, right? And I'll make it equal, I'll read the array instead, right? So my array was called array. So I'll say value, val, is called to array. And then, just need to get my square. And then inside of the place on the array that I'll read, I'll put the variable amount. And then what I'll do is that I'll put my closing bracket at the end of all of this. So I'll actually keep my delay. Let's go 300. And I'll put my closing bracket here. I'm using my French keyboard thing. Let's bring it back to English. It's just easier. There. That should work right away. Okay, so what I'm doing is a for with, I start at amount equals 0. When amount 0 is going to be equal to 10. Now notice there's a double equal here. Okay, so it's that's a common beginner's mistake to forget that. So double equal checks for the value. It evaluates the value. The single equal assigns a value to a variable. Yeah, so this should work here. Let's give it a shot. Start simulation. Oh. Val was not declared in this scope. Okay, that's because I did not define integer val. Oh, I got it. So we'll just call it val semicolon. Okay, so that's why. Okay, so that should work now. Okay, good. It's not showing any numbers. Why is it not showing any numbers? Okay, so let's pause that. Okay, so I'll pause the video just so you don't wait on me. Okay, so strangely enough, this structure, it didn't like it. So I had instead to just increase every time I looped by 1. So it's right here. And as you can see, the numbers are going in sequence. So this is working fine. Not too sure why that didn't like it. But at this point, I just wanted it done. So this is working. Now I'm just going to use now the array that we created. Okay. So we'll declare an integer amount. And then what we'll do is we'll read from the array the value amount. Actually, I could just read the value val in the array. That's actually better. And well, if I do that, you guys could ask me, am I really reading the value, the right one? So let me just right, so here what I'll do, I'll put amount instead. Right, so this is just a proof of concept, just to make you guys see that I can read the value from val, from my array. So right now, this is what it should do. Okay, so this is working. Okay, so I'm right now reading one value after the other out of the array. So to prove that it's working, I'll skip 1 to 3, say, right? So the array now will go 0, 4. Actually, let's put 0, 0, right? So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'll delete my 9. And now it should show a different sequence. Right? So you see, so now it's skipping the 9 and it's showing 5 zeros in a row. Okay, so I am reading from the array. Okay. Well, so that's how you use the array. Okay, so you define it. So you use square brackets. You don't need to define that here, right? The curly opening and closing, you don't need that, because you could enter all of those values. So let's actually do one last example. Right, just want to confirm. Yep, so I can just declare how many items are in the array, right? So it's got 10. And then say that array amount equals to the variable amount. So I'm starting at 0, but then every time I'm going to go at the end, I'm going to increase amount by 1, and when it's 0, it's going to restart, right? So every time it goes in, it's going to increase it by 1, right? So that should work as well. So now I'm filling up the array by 0, 1, 2, 3, all the numbers, and then I'm reading from it. So that should work. Okay, so you see that? So here I'm reading the values, I'm writing them, and then I'm reading it from the array. Okay, good. I can still do this. So again, as I said earlier, not too sure why this for loop didn't work here. It never got going. I'm really not sure. It looks okay to me. So I'll leave that alone here.